Welcome back, True Seeker. We're going to have to move quick here because time is limited for yours truly. But of course, this morning, the big story, the governor of Utah, Spencer Cox, announcing that the Charlie Kirk assassin suspect in custody. He said the 22-year-old was arrested last night late on the 11th after a 33-hour manhunt. And when I heard that, I thought, 2211 reminds me of 22nd of November, big tragedy, assassination, JFK. And then after 33 hours, of course, JFK was killed in the middle of Dealey Plaza, named after a 33rd degree Scottish Rite Freemason who was big in the newspaper business. And of course, JFK once gave that speech April 27th, 1961 to the Newspaper Association about the problem with secrecy in the United States of America, only to die a couple years later, again, in a plaza named after a member of a prominent secret society who was in the newspaper business. And a lot of Americans know about that JFK secrecy speech, but they've never really connected the dots on where he died as the 35th president on I-35, the first Catholic, when, of course, in Gematria, Catholic equates to 35. Unless you run it in reverse, then it equals 46, like his age of death. But yes, Gematria, the Kabbalistic practice of coding numbers into words, it matters that it's Kabbalistic because it comes from Kabbalah, which Freemasonry is based in. And who guards the Freemasonic Lodge? The Tyler. And did you hear about this Tyler? Because it reminded me of something that was real big at the start of the year. We got an assassin here who writes messages on his bullets in the United States of Amnesia. It might be hard to remember the end of last year, beginning of this year, but remember there was the United Healthcare CEO assassinated by a Luigi Mangione who wrote messages on his bullets. And that assassination took place at the Midtown Hilton Hotel 47 days before Inauguration Day, when that's the same 47-story Midtown Hilton Hotel that Trump was in back in 2016 when he won the election over Hillary. But yeah, Luigi Mangione, he got arrested eating French fries at a McDonald's in Pennsylvania by Tyler Fry. Again, a Tyler guards the Masonic Lodge. That venerated number by Masonry, 33, a 33-hour manhunt to catch Tyler this time. But yeah, Tyler Fry gets Luigi Mangione in the McDonald's in Pennsylvania eating French fries not long after Trump had just served French fries at a Pennsylvania McDonald's on Kamala's 60th birthday just before the 60th election. So let's really put this together and unlock the Masonic jokes as we're being laughed at from all angles. I'm sure you guys saw that Joe Rogan had Charlie Sheen on to react to the Charlie Kirk killing. It's like an outtake from Major League. Anyway, we're going to talk about this. Then we're going to talk about Charlie Kirk dying at 31, just before the 31st anniversary of the assault weapons ban, which happened September 13th. That'll be tomorrow. That will be the 31st anniversary. 94. Charlie Kirk dead at 31. Talk of banning assault weapons. Keep in mind, this time it was a bolt-action rifle. Wasn't technically an assault weapon, but again, the commentary's out there all over. It's time to do something. There's too many dangerous weapons out on the street. And then also, we're going to get into something we've been talking about since the Butler shooting and then the GOP convention in Milwaukee, because something that stood out about that was how McKinley, the 25th president, was assassinated, and then he was replaced by Teddy Roosevelt, who was shot in Milwaukee. Because when they nominated J.D. Vance, who carried Kirk's casket on Air Force One today, when they nominated J.D. Vance as the VP nominee, he became the youngest VP nominee pick since Teddy Roosevelt, who was shot in Milwaukee, where, of course, Charlie Kirk spoke at the GOP convention. But isn't it interesting how Teddy Roosevelt, who replaced the 25th president, when here we are in 2025, how he was shot on October 14th, which is Charlie Kirk's birthday, which is also the day in history that the Superior General became the Superior General. Because, again, I did tell you about how this shooting happened 63 days of Charlie Kirk before Arturo Sosa's birthday, and they've drawn parallels to all these assassinations, including JFK in 63. But isn't it interesting how Teddy Roosevelt equals 63? And remember, when the Trump "it just grazed his ear" thing happened, where he needed the Van Gogh bandage. Remember how the man who was killed, Corey Contemporary, he worked for the Buffalo Fire Department, which was Buffalo, Pennsylvania. But of course, McKinley was shot in Buffalo, New York. And of course, once upon a time, Trump tried to buy the Buffalo Bills. And then he was rejected, so he went on to run for president. But you see how Buffalo 63, like Teddy Roosevelt, and remember Trump was up there, kissing the Buffalo uniform at the GOP convention. Are you seeing how all this comes together? So we're going to recap this, but there's a lot of pieces here I want to talk about because these things are puzzles put together by the cabal who've been literally playing jokes on us all throughout history. And when they create new history, like what just happened to Charlie Kirk, they love to play on the past themes, the past storylines, the still unsolved mysteries like JFK. It's all under wraps. Trump was going to put out the files, and he put out some files, and they told us absolutely nothing. But yes, here we are. Tyler Robinson, per Spencer Cox, the governor of Utah, arrested after a 33-hour manhunt. I don't even know what to say at this point, you guys. It's just, I get so sick of the 33 mocking. Again, I just did a long podcast with a group called the Occult Rejects a few weeks ago about what, it was right after the New York mass shooting on the 33rd floor after the killer's 33-day road trip that started in Sin City. But I went on and explained why the cabal uses 33, what it's all about. I did a short video on this explaining this morning. But again, first of all, let's understand what's encoded in these words right here. Masonry, 33. The highest degree of the Scottish Rite is 33. And let me make a point about Scottish Rite and Donald Trump. And again, Trump is the apprentice, which is the first degree of Freemasonry. But you see how Scottish Rite has this 165 and 159 value? Donald Trump's birthday is June 14th, the flag's birthday, which is the 165th day of the year. And Donald Trump also equals 159. Last year, when he was saved by the Secret Service, that was 159 years after they were established. For people who don't know, the Secret Service was established the same day that Lincoln was shot. But Scottish Rite's also 78. Trump retook office at age 78. There's 78 cards in the tarot deck. The top cards are Trump cards. By the way, tarot cards equals 119, like he took office with the 119th Congress. And the first time around back in 2016, the election was called for him on November 9th, which was also the anniversary of the fall of the Berlin Wall, and he became the 45th president-elect. But again, Scottish Rite 165. The top degree is 33. Look at Tyler Robinson. Look at what's encoded in his name. Also 165. And you see the 75, for example, that's the same as Charlie Kirk. And again, Charlie Kirk's also 60, like Donald Trump. And Trump won the 60th election after sacrificing his ex-wife exactly 60 weeks in the first Jesuit Ignatian year and a million other 60 rituals, including Donald Trump, the braggart versus Alvin Bragg, who he eventually beat, and just 1,000 other things, really. And remember, from the Trump hoax to what happened to Kirk was 60 weeks and 4 days. We covered all this. Anyway, the point is, this guy's name, Tyler Robinson, equals Scottish Rite. It equals 165. It also equals Donald Trump. And if you need one more reminder, Kirk was killed 88 days after Trump's birthday. Trump equals 88. The Republican Party equals 88. Turning Point USA equals 88. Masonic Ritual equals 88. Okay. Again, if you're new here, these are the 4 base ciphers of the English language. I didn't make it up. I learned about it in a book written in 1926. That book's almost 100 years old. It was written by Manly P. Hall. It's called The Secret Teachings of All Ages. All of these ciphers are just the alphabetic order. A is 1 up to Z is 26. The alphabetic order in reverse. Z is 1 back to A is 26, and both orders with numerology applied. It's simple mathematics. It's a really simple code. Out of the 4 ciphers, this one is the one I've talked about the most since I first learned about it in 2013. Again, 33-hour manhunt, masonry, police, federal, secrecy, order. The reason I threw the name Kennedy up there is because, again, what day did he die? November 22nd, in the middle of Dealey Plaza, named after a 33rd degree Scottish Rite Freemason. In this case, Tyler Robinson's 22 and arrested on the 11th of September. Don't forget, 33 years before 9/11 happened in 2001 and 68, 911 was made the national emergency dialing code. Yesterday, the media, CNN, Fox, MSNBC, they were all putting out the number for the FBI to call about this guy. Call 911, call the federal police, call the police. If you have any leads, think about it, you guys, on 911, right? Call the police. The police made the arrests on 911. 1968, 33 years before 2001. 911 made the National Emergency Dialing Code. World Trade Center construction began in New York City. Boeing debuted their jumbo jetliners. George W. Bush graduated from Yale, Skull and Bones. And again, he's a bonesman, the alumni of Skull and Bones, bonesman, just for the record, 33. But by the way, another thing, just since this day, Paul Walker. You guys remember Paul Walker? Paul Walker was in the movie The Skull's About Skull and Bones. He gets a red Porsche in the movie, ends up dying in a weird way in a red Porsche 5 years to the day of George Herbert Walker Bush, the 41st president, also a member of Skull and Bones. His birthday was June 12th, the day leaving 202 days left in the year. His son, who also became president, has a July 6th birthday. Anyway, coming back. All this business, right? I just want to remind JFK, when he gave his speech about the problem with secrecy, the very word secrecy is repugnant in a free and open society, and we are, as a people, inherently and historically opposed to secret societies. That speech, April 27th, 1961, addressed before the American Newspaper Publishers Association. Again, where does JFK die? He dies in Dealey Plaza, named after a 33rd degree Scottish Freemason, on 11/22. Again, Dealey, George Dealey, major newspaper guy, okay? Major newspaper guy. And just for the record, from Charlie Kirk's assassination to November 22nd, this year is a span of 74 days. Masonic is 74, so is killing, so is a cult. The Ides of March to remember the killing of Caesar is the 74th day of the year. Stabbing's also 74. Holiday, for the record, is 74. Independence Day, 74. This nation was founded by a bunch of Masons. The Capitol is named after George Washington, a Mason who's named 74 and 88. And remember, there's a lot of overlap there with Turning Point USA. Turning Point USA has that 88, 187, just like Holy Roman Empire, and their architecture's everywhere in the nation's capital, and all roads lead to Rome. Anyway, if I'm going too fast for you, you can always rewind. I'm sorry, I got to be somewhere quick, and I wanted to get through all this. But yes, just with regards to Masonry, the Tyler guards the lodge. Okay? Tyler Fry gets Luigi Mangione. That was another major Masonic ritual. Again, it was at the 47-story Midtown Hilton Hotel, 47 days to Inauguration Day for number 47, Trump, whose name also equals 47, who was in that same hotel the night of the 2016 election. If you missed all my work on Luigi Mangione, if you're new here, you might want to go back and revisit that, because just a lot of the same stuff here. It's just deja vu. Deja vu. But yes, it was Tyler Fry who got him in the Pennsylvania McDonald's. Tyler Fry at a restaurant known for French fries. I don't know how people don't see the jokes. Now, I just also want to make sure that you got the joke back then. You see how French fries is 60? Remember, Trump served French fries on Kamala's 60th birthday just for the 60th election. Then he has the 60 Minutes lawsuit over the Kamala interview and blah, blah. It was all ritual, you guys. Golden Arches, you know what McDonald's is known for, 60. Donald Trump, 60. Charlie Kirk, 60 weeks and 4 days after Trump survived. Charlie Kirk, 60. Okay? In case you need the Tyler Fry story up, Tyler Fry, cop who caught Luigi Mangione, says it feels great. And the trumpet player who just died, Mangione, you know, that's a play on his most famous song. He just died recently. He's in the new King of the Hill series on Hulu, and two actors from that King of the Hill series both died around the same time it premiered. Tyler Fry, 134. Festerville is where it happened at, 134. Make America Great Again, 134. You know what's wild, you guys? Well, check this out. From the day that JFK gave the speech, April 27, 1961, about secrecy, to the day he died in Dealey Plaza, look at this, 939 days. That's kind of an interesting number, but 134 weeks in a day. Remember, 134 is this number connected to tragedy all throughout history. If you're new here, it's a lot to explain. Just simple things. You ever seen the Matt Damon movie where he's growing potatoes out of his turds on Mars? His potato farm blows up on the 134th day. It's too much to explain right now. I'm short on time, but the number's just connected to chaos and death and destruction. And it really, here's what it goes to. Tisha B'Av equals 134, which means 9th of Av, which equals 134. And that's the day we remember the destruction of the two temples. And, the two temples kind of remind you of the two towers, right? And just, you never believed that in what's known as Latin, aka Jewish gematria, Tisha B'Av's 9/11. Anyway, another topic. But yes, Charlie Kirk and Tyler Robinson, same gematria. We see this all the time in these stories, how the victim and the perpetrator have the same numbers because it's a ritual. And you see how New World Order equals 75 and 69, just like Tyler Robinson, 75, 69. Remember, Papa Bush, also known as Poppy Bush, because he was part of that thing with Reagan and funneling in the drugs. And, everywhere we go and start war, man, we end up bringing back a whole lot of tar and create a whole lot of addicts. We got rid of the Taliban, and the next thing you know, opioids were flowing. Vietnam, opioids were flowing. Anyway, September 11th, 1990, George H.W. Bush, the 41st president, the one who came before his son, who could hardly formulate a sentence, who won the election in the state where his brother was the 43rd governor, as he became the 43rd president, and then their daddy was the 43rd vice president. Remember, Yale equals 43, where the two presidents went to school, where Skull and Bones is. But yeah, his papa, September 11th, 1990, he gave the speech about a new world order, a world free or a tear. If you don't know about it, look it up. 11 years to the day of what happened when his son had just become president, and mostly the 11th state, New York, with the buildings that look like a big 11. Remember, in numerology, 11's the master number, 22 is the master builder number, and 33 is recognized as the master teacher number, which is interesting because the word teacher is also 33. And like I said earlier in the short video I did this morning, Masonry venerates 33 because a human being has 33 bones in their vertebrae. And Masonry's into Kundalini, which is about spiritual ascension up to 33 bones of the human vertebrae. And do you see how, just for example, the word people's 33 in that cipher? So is person, so is society. The word nervous is 33. The spine controls the nervous system. And if you notice, these stories, these negative stories, they're like a dark cloud on America always. They're constantly inserting 33 if you pay attention. They want us in a low state. It's supposed to be about spiritual ascension, but what they're doing is inverting this system, and they're making us descend into a lower state, which is the fear state. When you're afraid, you're more easily manipulated. You're more easily maneuvered. America, these are scary times, but we want to keep you safe. All we ask is you give up some rights and liberties, send us a little bit more money, and all will be well. That's pretty much what goes on with each one of these rituals. And, you turn on the TV right now, people talking about undermining the Second Amendment and the First Amendment. Utah governor's speech, he's being applauded across all media, from CNN to Fox to MSNBC, saying he gave a great speech. Did he really? Because what I heard in his speech was, besides the 33 thing, what I heard was him talking about independent people's voices being this cancerous thing. Yeah, sure, there's bad things on social media, but he talked about it like it's one unanimous bad thing. They want to control all things. They don't want people like myself to be able to have any kind of voice, any kind of influence over others. These people want to have all the influence. They want it to just be their voice, their message, their ritual, no one dissenting. No, I didn't like his speech at all. I saw the mocking of the 33 and then him. I get what you're saying. I can read between the lines on what you're saying right now about, stay off the internet. So many people out there. You know what else bothers me that I hate in the media? They're always saying, we're obviously not going to show you this for obvious reasons. No, there are no obvious reasons, because we're the nation where the movie Hostel. What year did the movie Hostel release? Hostel movie release date. Let me see what year this movie came out. It's almost 20 years old. And I remember when this movie came out, it was like, God, this is horrible. Why'd they have to put this in a movie? Who needs to see this kind of stuff? Hostel's nothing now. Like every Hollywood movie's worse than Hostel. Gore, killing, slaughter, just nastiness, horrific things. No. If something happened, show it to us in the news. I mean, we've seen, the average American has seen horrible things because they watch movies. They're going to turn on their Netflix and they're going to see horrible things. Probably half the movies in the top 10 have something absolutely gross and disgusting in them. we can't show you this because we know you're such an innocent people who've never seen any gore before. Bullshit. Show us the truth. And you know what? For people who are older, I wasn't alive back then, but I understand from talking to older people from my parents' generation, the reason they stopped showing graphic things in the news is because it caused a rebellion against Vietnam. They used to show the horrible things that had happened in Vietnam to our own troops, to other people, and it made people really mad, and it made them want to go out and stop what was going on because they actually saw something horrible that was real. Notice you've heard so many stories about horrible things in the news in the last 20, 30 years. Have you seen any proof of anything? Outside of those towers crumbling down into a pile of dust in midair, you haven't seen nothing from any of these stories. All you've heard are stories and people in suits coming out of God knows where to give you their BS opinion about why you should give away your rights and liberties and submit more and more to a surveillance state. Okay. And again, how did I catch onto all this? Because I saw the number rituals and I said, what's it about? What's it about? What's it about? And then finally I found the book, The Secret Teachings of All Ages, and investigated what was in there. And I said, oh my God, this is it. Now here's a part that a lot of you might have trouble fathoming. Who watched Thursday Night Football last night? Because tell me if this is true. Did they start the game by showing you how every Packer quarterback who was 27 got a big defensive star that year and then went to the Super Bowl? Did they start the game doing that? Because they did. And then what was the winning score last night? Was it 27 points by the Packers? And, let me show you something mind-blowing about last night's game. Last night before the game, the Packers came into the 11th of September, 11-9, with a plus 119-point differential on the opponent, the Commanders. And what's amazing is if you measure from the Lambeau Field to where the Commanders play, it's 911.3 miles. This was the September 11th game. And again, if you follow my work, I mean, this is the kind of stuff we do here. I gave this for free. If you guys follow I gave this out for free about why I thought the Packers will start the year 4-0. Micah Parsons equals 71. LaFleur, the Packers coach, will get his 71st. He started the year by getting his 71st total win, including the postseason with Micah Parsons. But he'll get his 71st win in the regular season versus the Cowboys, and he'll get his 74th win, including the postseason, if the Packers start 4-0. I gave that one to you guys for free at the beginning of this week. So anyway, the point is American football is credited to Walter Camp, who's a Skull and Bones member like the Bushes, and he's also a 33rd degree right Scottish Freemason. And for the record, Camp equals 33. But last night, the winning quarterback, while the manhunt's going on, and realize the manhunt reportedly ended at the same time the football game ended. Jordan Love, the winning quarterback, who won with 27 after they started the game, telling about the history of Packer quarterbacks in 27. Jordan Love went to school in Utah. Jordan Alexander Love, 106. The surname of the killer, Robinson, 106. This is the 106th NFL season. We knew Bashawn Robinson was a lock to score on Sunday. He was the first touchdown of Sunday this past Sunday for the 106th NFL season. And don't forget how the 106th season began. If you missed it, the Armani founder was announced dead. Armani's the eagle, their logo. He was announced dead before the 106th season kicked off, where the Eagles got their 106th home win as a franchise versus the NFC East. And then the next night, Mahomes stayed on 106 wins. And by the way, the Eagles got their 59th win versus the Cowboys. The next night, the Chargers got their 59th win versus the Chiefs. The winner of Super Bowl 59 won. The loser of Super Bowl 59 lost, both in 59 rituals. But yeah, Armani. And for the record, Armani was launched during the 56th NFL season in 1975. Armani died on the 56th day of his age. Again, Armani also equals 29 and 43 like football. Anyway, I'm explaining to you the larger game, how it's all rigged together. If you're new here, I've been talking about this for years. I've been proving my point for a long time. USA Today wrote a hit piece on me in January of 2016 for exposing how news and sports are all scripted together. So last night, 106th season, Jordan Alexander Love with the big win, who went to school in Utah. His game ends, according to the governor, that's the same time that the arrest was made. Again, this is the 106th season. Now, the other thing I want you to think about is this. This story from October 6, 1940. Do you see the phrase New World Order? It's hard to read the rest because then they say you're being anti-S. And it's like, well, I'm just really reading a New York Times headline from October 6, 1940. That's the date of this article. I've been covering this for years. I used to have a brilliant post on this article and how much is into it on my old website. That was on Blogspot. I had Blogspot before Google bought Blogspot. Once Google took over Blogspot, they deleted thousands of my posts, hard work over many years, deleted thanks to Google the monster buying up more and more things. What's crazy is if you do a web search for this article, this is now what comes up at the top of Google. This is an AI overview. The phrase October 6, 1940, New World Order pledged to Jays is a false and anti-S conspiracy theory with no basis in fact. Like, well, that's weird because it's literally on the New York Times' website that you can still read the article to this day. So Google wants to tell you that there's no fact to this. This is all fact. And the thing is, you guys, here's what I want to tell you about this. Remember how we just talked about how in this name, Tyler Robinson is New World Order? Remember how we talked about this? And again, on September 11th, he was arrested on September 11th, 1990. George Herbert Walker Bush gave the speech about a new world order, a world free or a tear. He was also the 11th director of the CIA, like it was 11 years to the day of what happened while his son was president. But again, I was talking about this article back in 2015, and I said, just wait until Israel is 75 years old. A massive war will start with Israel while it's 75. And the day Netanyahu came back to power, December 29, 2022, which was Albert Pike's birthday, who wrote the letter about 3 world wars to come, where the third would be centered on political Zionism. You can still watch my video on GematriaEffectNews 22 from the day Netanyahu came back, December 29, 2022. I explained why a war was going to start right around the anniversary of this article, right around the time Yale would turn 322 years old, when Skull and Bones is Order 322 at Yale. That war started one day after the anniversary of this article, while Israel was 75 years old. And I'm bringing this up because what's going on right now in the world? Charlie Kirk, a major Israel hardliner, Israel, with its military that's mostly paid for by U.S. taxpayer dollars, is bombing all over the Middle East. 6 countries bombed on the day that Charlie Kirk was killed. 6 countries. And that didn't really have any coverage in the media. And notice we didn't even really talk about 9/11 this year. Back when it happened, it was never forget. Every year, it's always been all about 9/11, remembering 9/11, the tragedy, the people lost. But this year, it was just all about Charlie Kirk and the manhunt. Turning point. I guess we are forgetting. Never forget. I guess we forget. Anyway, don't even get me started on the 72 hours in that headline. But these things are not an accident. None of this is an accident. All of this is perfect ritual. And notice I'm also pointing out the 10-6 thing, right? This was October 6th, this 106 thing going on. 106 is a number of prophecy and authority. And a lot of people think we are living out biblical prophecy. What we're actually living out is a cabal that uses the Bible like a playbook, like they're a football coach, and contrives world ritual to occur as it does. Again, Israel turned 75 in 2023. When this war began, that's escalating more than ever in the time that Charlie Kirk is covering up all things in the news. He's got the eye of the masses. It's all they're covering right now. It's like a blanket. It's like a smoke screen for what's going on right now over there, which we, the taxpayers, are paying for. And seriously, imagine how many people do you think have been blown up? How many young women and children do you think have been blown up? That are getting no respect, no attention, is all we hear about is Charlie Kirk, the martyr. And again, like the program American people are just eating this stuff up. You guys, Charlie Kirk is somebody who misled young people into believing the Republican Party was some kind of hope, savior for America. A Republican Party has been mostly in power in the 21st century and has helped build the police surveillance state and escalate the military-industrial complex beyond beliefs. And yes, the Democrats have been working hand in hand right with them. I'm not saying this party is better than that party. My work is about helping people see the 2-party system is a major lie. We've been sold out long ago. This federal government needs to be stopped in its tracks. People need to stop supporting both parties. They need to stop voting in rigged selections. All of this stuff needs to be shut down. Again, I made some comments the other day about Trump and running on MAGA and the highest degree of the Church of Satan, and a lot of people thought that was dumb. For anyone out here who thinks that's dumb, I want you to go back to this date, April 30th, 2011. April 30th, 2011. I want you to go back and see what happened that day with Trump and Obama, back when Obama was in power. I'm going to tell you what happened, and you go tell me a word of this isn't true. Obama had the White House Correspondents' Dinner that night. And he did two big jokes that night. The first was he played the Lion King, and he showed the scene where Simba's being held up. And Obama said, that was actually me, and I was born in Africa. And they put up his date of birth, August 4th, 1961. But notice how Simba equals 44, like he was number 44. Again, Hope 44 and 64, like he was he was elected 44 years after the Civil Rights Act, running on Hope, when, of course, MLK was killed on 4-4. And if you missed all the 44s in Charlie Kirk's death, that was covered 2 days ago. But anyway, that was the first joke, right? Because Obama was doing, or not Obama, but Trump was doing the birther thing, saying Obama's really from Kenya. And notice birther's also 44. Obama was number 44. Trump became the 44th person to be president because of Grover Cleveland's split term that messed up the count. But anyway, the next joke was Obama saying that Trump is going to become the 45th president. And look at this. Church of Satan, date of establishment, right? April 30th, 1966. So April 30th, 2011, the day this joke was told, would have been the 45th birthday of the Church of Satan. So on the 45th birthday of the Church of Satan, Obama tells the joke that Trump will become 45. And degrees of the Church of Satan, we'll get it again right from their own website. The highest degree of the Church of Satan, the 5th degree, like they have the 5-pointed star, is mega. And remember, in 2000, when Bush, the second one, became president, that was the year the GOP changed its logo to downwards pointing stars on the elephant, like inverted pentagrams, like the satanic symbol. And, the thing about Barack, that name means lightning. Like Satan comes to earth in a bolt of lightning in Luke 10:18. Now, did you see Charlie Kirk's tent when the shooting happened? Charlie Kirk shooting tent. Let me see if I can get this image up for you. If you've seen it, you've seen that his tent had lightning bolts on it. Prove me wrong, right? It's a little bit blurry here. This is a clear image. Prove me wrong. Lightning bolt right on it, right? On every, oh, shoot. Here, right here. Every single side of this tent has a lightning bolt between the prove me wrong. And remember who the daddy, I'm talking about Freemasonry for people who need to know. The daddies of Freemasonry are the Jesuits. Prove me wrong, 54, 72, 153, like Jesuit order. Again, that's who gave us the language and the calendar. That's the military order of the Catholic Church. They're the church largely responsible for the Bible as we know it. Luke 10:18, where Satan comes to earth in the bolt of lightning, okay? Remember, Charlie was killed 331 days after his birthday, the 67th prime. Satanic is 67. They said he was killed at 12:20 local time. 12:20, right? Kind of like 122. Satanic's also 22 and 50, like Utah is 22 and 50. And what's interesting about, so is Jesuits, the plural for the record, 22 and 50. But this 22-year-old assassin, look at this part. And somebody's going to say, well, is there a Captain Kirk connection? There probably is, you guys. I haven't even got into it yet because I heard that Star Trek announced some new series coming out on YouTube the day this happened. All of these jokes are multifaceted. Again, Charlie Sheen was in the news the day Charlie Kirk was killed. King Charles was in the news. People who watched my video from the UK said, we do call him King Charlie over here. I didn't know that. So Charles is referred to as Charlie. But anyway, we get the 22-year-old killer in Utah who took out Kirk as the day a new Star Trek series with Captain Kirk is announced. And, of course, William Shatner's getting up there. He better look out. Just like they're going to – I know, sadly, they're going to do Mr. Time Travel, the doc from Back to the Future really soon. His time is almost up, and I covered why that is. It has to do with the new Wednesday series. Now, it came out on 8/6, 86 days before Halloween, and his character in there, which is just a head in a jar, that character name equals 86, like blood sacrifice. By the way, I heard that South Park just did an episode of Charlie Kirk on August 6th, 8/6. But yes, again, Charlie killed on the 253rd day of the year, so we're told, the 22nd triangular number in Utah, 22, Kirk, 22, and now a 22-year-old killer. Again, arrested on the 11th after a 33-hour manhunt. All right, I went overtime. I'm supposed to be picking up my daughter already. Real quick, again, tomorrow, September 13th, will be the 31st anniversary of the assault weapons ban. All over TV and the media, people calling for major gun control. People are using the phrase, it's time for a turning point on guns. Charlie Kirk assault weapons, both 192. And you can't think that Trump's going to help protect the Second Amendment. He's on the record saying, I like take the guns first, due process second. That is horribly un-American. Trump's an advocate for censorship. Again, I got wiped out all the way off X on January 27th by the other puppet, Elon Musk, who just got passed by Larry Ellison as the world's richest man by the numbers we just covered. Again, it's all a show. But anyway, Charlie Kirk, 192 like assault weapons. Just a reminder that SH, the school shooting that really began the push. And God, are you guys seeing the same thing as me? I've been watching the news, and that Sandy Hook Promise is advertising nonstop in the news right now. Sandy Hook Promise, a thing that's taken down a lot of people's YouTube channels, been pushing for undermining the Second Amendment. It's pushed by you-know-who's, ooze. I just talked about it with the New World Order thing from October 6, 1940. Again, it's ooze behind that. From Charlie Kirk's launching of Turning Point USA June 5th, 2012 to SH was 192 days later, which began this super push for the assault weapons ban. And check this out. Feinstein, we know Feinstein, speaking of the ooze, and understand, you guys, I'm saying this not because you just can't talk about things without getting censored, which is bullshit. And it is largely because of these people who don't respect the First or Second Amendment. And there's a reason they've been kicked out of 90-some countries. It doesn't mean every ooze bad, though. But Feinstein was one of them, and she was banned, horribly un-American, just like most people in our government. She tried to do an assault weapons ban in 2013, and it got voted down 40-60. Now, think about that, 40-60. Could we see a turning point where this time the vote is 60-40 after Charlie Kirk, 60, gets killed on the 40th parallel north? By the way, if you look up this town of Orem, it was originally named after a place in modern-day Israel. Isn't that interesting? Look it up. I'm not making it up. Look it up. Just read the Wikipedia page. And yeah, again, just about Charlie Kirk being born October 14th, which is the day that Teddy Roosevelt, there was an assassination attempt on his life in history. Again, he was the youngest VP nominee until J.D. Vance. Teddy Roosevelt replaced McKinley, the 25th president. Here we are in 2025. The first thing Trump did as president was renamed Denali back to McKinley. But now you have J.D. Vance carrying Charlie Kirk's casket on Air Force One. As I said, all of this is synced with the Superior General, who was installed as the Superior General back on October 14th, just before Trump took office the first time. That was in 2016. And again, this thing happened to Kirk 63 days before the Superior General's birthday. Remember, that's also the 44th composite number, like JFK was the 44th term president, killed in 63, shooting, execution, gunfire, kill, all 44. The only day of the week that equals 44 is Wednesday. Charlie Kirk killed on 44 date numerology on a Wednesday. 44 weeks and a day after the election was called for. Oh, no, actually 44 weeks on the nose after the election was called for Trump. 44 weeks and a day after the election date, which was also the day in history that the Jesuits tried to assassinate King James, who died at 58, like Trump got 58% of the Electoral College, and like how Utah also equals 58, and like how he won the 58th election the first time and had this convention in King James Stadium. Anyway, 63 days before Arturo Sosa's birthday, Teddy Roosevelt's also 63, Buffalo 63, that's where McKinley was killed, but again, that's also where the fireman, Corey Comparatori, that's where he worked, who was killed the day of the Trump survival thing. And again, that was under the 13 stripes on the 13th of July. Charlie Kirk killed 13 years after, well, killed with an asterisk. I'm not convinced it's true based on what I've seen from this big pump thing in the shirt, and then the reaction, and then the blood squirting out, and the ring finger switching in the video. I mean, how do you explain these things? We live in the age of AI, you guys. They loaded him in an SUV. Let that be the top clue. I mean, imagine you've been shot in the neck. You would need attention so fast if you had any chance. They're loading him in an SUV. They've never told us what hospital. Have you guys? I haven't seen it anywhere. I haven't seen a single article. I was looking. I spent a lot of time last night looking for an article about what hospital he was taken to. Couldn't find anything. So again, you guys, we are lied to every single day. Oh, by the way, I forgot to make this point too. Sunday, the Pope's birthday, the first American Pope, born in 55, like Trump joked he was the Pope on 5/5. This Sunday, Pope Leo XIV's birthday. It will be the anniversary of McKinley being shot in Buffalo. It'll be the 124th anniversary. This was called the American Comeback Tour that Charlie Kirk was killed on. American Comeback Tour 124. Trump's had all these little slip-ups with Buffalo. He was speaking there on July 11th, and he referred to it. He talked about September 11th in Buffalo and referred to it as July 11th, which is interesting because that's Spencer Cox's date of birth, the governor of Utah. For the record, Central Intelligence Agency's 117. He's 50 years old. He's born in 75 as well at the time of this ritual in Utah with Charlie Kirk. Utah 50, born in 75. Go figure. Essentially, we said today, stop listening to people that aren't authorities. Just stay tuned into us. We'll give you all the facts. We got them after 33 hours. But yeah. I hope I delivered this okay enough because I was talking like the Micro Machine Man. Again, thank you to everyone who hits the like and the share. Thank you to everyone who supports the work. Thank you to all the new people to the channel. Queen Conscience said, I didn't know Charlie and still felt bad for him, and I had to get off Twitter for the rest of the year. That's my condolences to him. Remember, that's what the media wants, right? They want you to have an emotional response. Part of my work is to help you guys not have an emotional response to anything you see in the media because literally it's trying to manipulate your energy at all times. Again, a lot of people get it twisted. They're like, oh, this guy thinks No, I don't think everything is. I think if it's in the news, it's not just that I think. I've been proving this way. I've been here every single day since August of 2013 doing this, you guys. We've been calling out things way before they happen like nobody's business. I mean, nobody exposed any of this before I came along. Showed how it was all connected: news, politics, election, sports, and it is. It's all just perfectly connected. That's why USA Today had to write their hit piece on me in January of 2016. For people who don't know, I showed how Cam Newton was born the same year Huey P. Newton, the Black Panther, died. If you want to look this stuff up, you guys check this out. Huey P. Newton, right? That's the founder of the Black Panther Party. He had all of his original meetings in Catholic churches in the Bay Area. He died on the day leaving 131 days left in the year 1989. Cam Newton was born on the 131st day of 1989. Cam Newton became the 58th quarterback to start in a Super Bowl. He lost to Peyton Manning, and the MVP of that game was number 58, Von Miller, who was drafted one pick after him. You know who called Peyton Manning to beat Cam Newton at the start of that season and Von Miller to be the MVP? Yours truly. And I said, watch, there'll also be a Black Panther tribute at the game. Beyonce did the halftime show and dressed up as a Black Panther and got criticized for it. That Super Bowl was in the Bay Area where Huey P. Newton founded it. They're constantly doing these kind of rituals. Cam Newton played for the Panthers with the black cat on their helmet. Think about it. Not to mention the college team in Charlotte's called the 49ers. This stuff goes on all the time. That was Super Bowl 50 a long time ago. San Francisco 50. The Super Bowl was on the 38th day of the year. The 49ers named for the Gold Rush. Colorado, the 38th state, won on the 38th day of the year, beating the Panthers 38. You guys, the cabal is making fun of us with everything they do, and they love exploiting us and stealing our energy. They're rigged sports games, they're rigged news, they're rigged elections, they're divisive politics. I appreciate the donation, but I hope you get it, Queen Conscious. Your words here tell me that you're not getting it all the way. You're having an emotional response to something that is more than likely a deliberate hoax meant to manipulate your energy. And that can be a hard thing to figure out, that you've been lied to your whole life, but that's a pill everyone needs to swallow, because once you get over it, you're better off for it for the rest of your life. It's like nobody wants to get the flu, but when you get the flu, your immune system gets stronger once you're through it, and then you're a lot less likely to get the flu for the remainder of your days. Open Up says South Park season 27, episode 2, episode 330. Features a parody of Charlie Kirk, aired on 8/6. Also, a book on Kirk's death was published the day before he died. I think the thing about the book being published the day before, I noticed that was all removed very fast. I think that was, it's easy to add something to Amazon by anybody and change the publishing date. I mean, you could even put a book up right there and write the publishing date. I think that was a deliberate hoax to kind of dupe social media people. Again, because then they start saying, see how easily these conspiracy theorists are misled and are disseminating false, easily proven false information. I think that was a little bit of a red herring there, that one. But yeah, 8'6". You know, you can write it 8'6" or 6'8". Caskets go 6 feet deep or 8 feet long. Of course, blood sacrifice equals 86 and 67, just like human sacrifice. And again, Kirk died 331 days after his birthday, the 67th prime. Did he sell his soul to be this famous and make all this wealth? And by the way, I see how he raised crazy money for his death. He's already worth tens of millions of dollars. Did he need to raise any more money? I mean, did he need money for his funeral? What's his legacy? Duping young people into voting for the Republican Party, a party that's really screwed us more than anyone in the 21st century. And I would stand on that. The Democrats have been terrible too, but I'd say the Republicans have done the most damage by far. I mean, they're single-handedly responsible for ushering in the police state to start the 21st century and undermining what America was about. Tell me where I'm wrong, because I'm not. Shout out to Dale. What's up, Dale? Thank you again, Dale. Jehovah Thickness says 23 days from Fuente's birthday, 32 days from Nick's premiere on the Sam Hyde show. Sam Hyde has a show named Extreme Peace, which has 84 days from the shooting. Nick's assassination attempt, 38 weeks from Trump's. Oh yeah, that was a hoax too. Yeah, good catch. Good catch. I think a stock market crash is coming October 13th. Turning Point Gematria points to that. Man, the correction's way overdue. They're supposed to drop interest rates in September. We'll see if the market reaches 47K. Maybe it hits 47K in the time of number 47, and then some world events bring it down from there. We'll see. But yeah, I'm sure when they lower interest rates, which the Fed said they're going to do sometime in September, at least that was the report last month, I'm sure that's going to cause a surge in the market, but it might be the last surge. Remember, tariffs equals 47, Trump 47. Trump put his first tariffs into effect in this administration 47 months after his last tariffs when he was president the first time, but also exactly 47 weeks after the anniversary of the publishing of Wealth of Nations. For anyone who's ever gone to business school like yours truly, you guys would never believe it, but my undergrad's accounting. I also have a master's in teaching. But again, Wealth of Nations is by Adam Smith, the father of economics, where he mostly writes about how tariffs are destructive. So go figure that Trump implemented his first tariffs, which again equal 47, exactly 47 weeks after the anniversary of that publishing date. And I'm sure you remember back on April 3rd when things went into chaos across the world when the tariffs went in. But yeah. Anyway, I got to go. I'm running late. Thanks again to everyone who hits the like and the share, who leaves a comment and supports the work. Thank you to all the new people who are subscribed here. If you think I'm wrong, stick around. Again, I'm trying to get you out of politics, not get you to take sides, because all you guys who are into the politricks, the lies, you're all part of the problem that's dragging this nation into the gutter. And for all you good Christians out there following people like Charlie Kirk, who probably hoaxed you on his death, and Trump, who runs on the highest degree of the Church of Satan, again, and the joke was told by a Democrat, showing you how it's all one big circus with these two parties. Again, it's time to take the wool off your eyes. You know, ignorance isn't an excuse. You get pulled over, the cops will tell you that one. Ignorance is no excuse. You can't be a good Christian in supporting an orange goon who wants to have sex with his daughter, who's a self-worshiper, who literally runs on the highest degree of the Church of Satan. You just can't, but a lot of you are doing it because you don't know any better. All right, Truth Seeker. Until next time.